So you beat Final Fantasy VII Remake, you've been to the edge of creation and back, but how does it fit into this new retelling of the story? The Edge of Creation is one of the most unexpected and perplexing additions to the world of Final Fantasy VII. Want to know what it's all about without having to do any research outside of this video? I'm here for you, and I'm going to spoil everything. Let's start with the basics. In an interview, director Kitase said, "I wanted the scenery of that segment to show a starry sky that represents the overall themes of Final Fantasy VII. Now that's important. How does this one short scene sum up the themes of the whole game? That's a loaded question, and we'll get to that at the end of the video. We also have the in-game description, which tells us Sephiroth shows Cloud a vision of the planet 7 seconds before its demise. It's the end of the world, and Sephiroth appears to be the last man standing until he drags Cloud in for a peek. Now, it definitely looks like a dead planet. The only notable features are in the sky. Cloud and Sephiroth each have a mysterious nebula behind them, which the material Ultimania refers to as the universe of creation and the universe of death. Creation, death. Now, it seems like the names are backwards, doesn't it? But that's not the case, and I will tell you why. The Ultimania also says Sephiroth's wing was used as inspiration for the background featured in the final confrontation. But that wasn't their only inspiration. I found their real-life inspiration in space. These are actual nebulas, and there's no way they didn't know about them and use them to design the Edge of Creation. The first one is cataloged as M16, commonly known as the Eagle Nebula. Look familiar? It's found in the constellation Serpens.
Snake. I'm a snake.
The clouds of gas and dust you see in the middle are called the Pillars of Creation, and that's where stars are formed. It's where new life begins, the universe of creation. It's Cloud's M16. Not one of those M16s, Cloud. Sorry, we're talking about Messier 16, you dummy. And you'll never guess what M16's neighbor, M17, is called.
The Omega Nebula.
We know what the FF7 Omega is from Dirge of Cerberus. It's a planetary weapon summoned at the end of the world that collects the uncorrupted life stream and escapes to start anew somewhere else in the universe, or possibly heads to the Promised Land. Also note that M17 is in the constellation Sagittarius, the Archer. Is there a connection there?
The arrow has left. The bow of the goddess.
Yes, interesting. I honestly don't know much about astrology, so if any of you can tell me if there's any significance with Serpens and Sagittarius to the world of Final Fantasy VII, let me know in the comments, please. Both of these real-life nebulas are categorized as supernova remnants, which of course means that this happened to each of them at some point in their history. Well, they probably should have put it on 3 times speed to speed up that process. And wouldn't you know it, Kate shit is right there every time. Maybe the universe is trying to cleanse itself of that idiot. Anyway, that's their real-life inspiration for the Edge of Creation. But what do these nebulas represent inside the Final Fantasy VII universe? Now hear me out on this one because the names might have tricked you. The universe of death is actually the greater life stream. It could even be considered the fabled Promised Land. It's the source of all life in the universe. Don't believe me? Listen to this quote from the Ultimania Omega. A certain theory held by planetologists posits that supreme happiness is the peaceful slumber, i.e. death, that awaits the ancients after they've fulfilled their mission. It also says, the ancients were a people who continuously roamed the land and dedicated their lives to nurturing the planet's spiritual energy, and the Promised Land is a place where they could rest peacefully after being liberated from the pain of living. Boom! The universe of death is the Promised Land. It's the Omega Nebula. It's what Sephiroth has been seeking since the very beginning. It's a place for ancients to rest, free of corruption, sealed away from Jenova. Jenova resides over here in the universe of creation. A lot of people say the black figure in the middle looks like Jenova. I think it actually looks more like Heretic Hojo, but we'll leave that alone for now because frankly, I don't even know what that would imply. Am I crazy? Does it not look exactly like him? All I know is Jenova's been over here terrorizing all creation since the dawn of time. You were all upset they didn't put the Trail of Blood in the Shinra building. Well, here's a whole nebula of blood, so there you go. They snuck it in there without having to change the rating. And let's talk more about Jenova's role in the Edge of Creation. Here's another quote from the Ultimania Omega. Jenova is brutal by nature, highly aggressive, and cunning as well. It spares no thought for things such as creation, focusing only on destruction. Following its instinct to eliminate anything aside from itself, it uses its mimetic ability to implant its virus and conquer other organisms. If you create it, Jenova wants to destroy it. If you set it up, she knocks it down. Jenova and the Lifestream are like yin and yang. Jenova is the universal force of destruction. You can't kill her because she's death itself, and she will rise up in any form as long as there is life. All she wants to do is end the cycle of the Lifestream. She wants to silence the universe. Now, do you think Sephiroth falls into Jenova's category of anything aside from itself? Of course he does, and that explains why Sephiroth takes a different tone at the Edge of Creation. He looks up at the Promised Land and says,
"Our world will become a part of it. One day. But I will not end."
Sephiroth still wants to go there. He's still hanging on to hope, even if it's for the wrong reasons. Holding on to hope is the only thing that prevented Jenova from fully subduing him.
My friend, your desire is the bringer of life, the gift of the goddess.
He may have exerted his will over Jenova for a time and used her power, but in the end, he realized he can't completely conquer her. Not on his own. At the Edge of Creation, his back is against the wall and he needs help to free himself from his bond to Jenova. How can he free himself if he doesn't even know who he is? In the Lifestream Black chapters and On the Way to a Smile, it talks about all the personal memories he's lost in the Lifestream. At one point, he doesn't even remember his own name. How can he get those memories back? Who can he turn to? The entire planet has become corrupted and Omega was destroyed in Dirge of Cerberus. There's only one hope left for him. Aerith. Aerith is likely the only Cetra he ever met. The only one he has memories of, and his best chance at sealing away Jenova. Aerith is still hanging around in the Lifestream, but she's failing and the walls are closing in on her.
Maybe I should just give up. Honestly, it's what I do best.
She's been holed up in her little Midgar memory dome for a long time, but that's a story for another day. Back to the Edge of Creation. Sephiroth's whole plan to get Aerith on his side starts with Cloud, the person he attached his core to, as we saw in Advent Children and the Lifestream Black. He's using Cloud to get to Aerith. When Cloud outright refuses to help him, the Material Ultimania says something very interesting in the storyboard for this scene. Once they draw their swords on each other, it says, Sephiroth bears the burden of the universe of death, and Cloud bears the burden of the universe of creation. What the hell does that mean? I'll tell you, and it all ties back into the first bit I told you from the Kitase interview. This scene represents the overall theme of the game, and that theme can be summed up in 2 words: moving forward. It's a theme you will notice all throughout the compilation if you're looking for it. Bearing the burden of creation means you have to move forward. Life is going to challenge you. You have to deal with loss. You have to deal with pain, but you keep moving forward. And you have to do it together. If I hate on people for no reason, if I don't pull my weight, if I destroy the environment, that makes it more difficult for everyone else around me to bear that burden. And then when a person finally loses all hope and the will to move forward, they become corrupted in the Lifestream and Jenova wins. You see where they're going with this? Cloud and everyone else on the planet has given up hope, except for Sephiroth and Aerith. Sephiroth's first step, he needs Cloud to move forward and start bearing the burden of life once again. He needs to uncorrupt all the people he knew throughout his life so he can get his memories back. So, to reactivate Cloud's consciousness in the Lifestream, he steps up and becomes Cloud's reason to fight. He puts his own existence, his own memories on the line, and bears the burden of death. It's the burden of the Promised Land. You might lose yourself, so that life and the rest of the universe can carry on. It's the same burden that Aerith bears. Does that mean he's a good guy now, sacrificing himself for the greater good? No, not at all. How do I know this? Well, I came across some early cutscene footage that's probably from Part 3. I don't think there's any way it could be in Part 2. But it shows what happens when Sephiroth finally makes it to the Promised Land, and it's not good. I didn't want to spoil Part 3 stuff just yet, but I couldn't resist because this is just groundbreaking for all of us theory crafters. Check this out.
get no sleep cause of y'all. Y'all not gonna get a sleep cause of me. Get the up.
Now that's obviously a pre-render. They're gonna have to clean that up a bit before they release it, but there it is. He made it to the promised land and he's still a bad guy. And his new voice actor is killing it, by the way. Back to the real world. I wanted to talk about this.
7 seconds till the end.
But that's probably going to warrant its own video, so I will begrudgingly cut it off here. I am just getting started with this channel. I need to tell you about Zack and Stamp and all of my predictions for the future of the franchise. And I can promise you this, I will not rest until I have spoiled everything. If you want to join me on this journey, then I need you to spoil me with likes and subscribe to the channel. The more you do, the faster I can crank out the content. So please help me out. That's it for today. Thank you, everyone. Till next time.